All right. Hello, and welcome to this month's edition of Divorcing Dilemmas. If this is your first time watching one of these, I'm Amanda Porter. I'm a family law attorney. And every month I interview various experts in different fields that I think may be helpful for at least some people who are going through a divorce. So this month I have with us Cory Savila. Cory, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Amanda.
Thanks for coming on. So Cory is with Intellix Forensics, and they are a forensic accounting firm. And the reason that I wanted to talk to Cory is that a lot of times it's pretty common for a spouse to be suspicious that their soon-to-be ex may be hiding assets or not be entirely forthcoming about what assets there are. So Cory, can you first walk us through a little bit, like what's the process if you're trying to find hidden assets?
Absolutely. So typically when we sit down with a client for the first time, we'll get a little bit of a background, general questions about their life, how long the marriage has lasted, children, businesses, employment, etc. So we get a good background of both the client and their soon-to-be ex or ex-spouse. What we'll typically do from that point on is ask certain questions pertaining to whether or not they have controlled the finances or controlled budgeting over the last however many years that they've been married. And we'll start kind of asking a few different questions. Certain things that might not seem important to the clients are actually incredibly important to us. So, we'll start, might sound like drilling a large number of questions at them, but there's very, specific purposes for everything that we ask. But in the end, basically our goal is to gain access to different records, financial data, whether or not it's bank accounts, investment accounts, retirement accounts, whether or not they have multiple mortgages on different properties in different areas, get a good idea of vehicles and whether or not those cars have been purchased under one party's name or the other party's name, or maybe a business. Mm-hmm. So start by getting that background. We start requesting a list of data from the client, and then that'll give us the good foundation for our initial analysis.
Okay. All right, great. And then so from that information, then you're able to try to track down if they've been transferring money to different people or overseas or anything like that.
That's correct. So I would say a large portion of our family law clients, because we do, we span out of this industry, but a large portion of our family law clients focus on initially some type of a background asset investigation. We have the ability to run a quick report that gives us a good understanding of whether or not they hold multiple properties, vehicles, things like that, those different things that I just listed, things that might not be known to our client that the opposing side has either purchased in their marriage or outside of their marriage, but it's all relevant when it comes to separating marital and non-marital assets. So what we'll do is we'll run those reports. It takes all of the different public databases, so whether or not it's federal, state, local, instead of having to go through and run reports in every single jurisdiction across the country, we can take all that data, pull it into one spot, analyze it very quickly, and let our clients know whether or not, the only home that is listed under their ex-spouse's name is the one that she currently lives in. Or we can come back and say, looks like there's a few vehicles that have been purchased under a business. Are you aware of these? And start asking more questions and kind of pick apart whether or not we think that there's different things that we should be looking into a little bit further.
All right, great. And so then that kind of gives you guidance on if you need to do further research or not.
Correct. And then when we gain access to financial records, the bank statements, we can start picking those apart line by line. What makes us different than a traditional auditor is that we are actually there to detect fraud. So, a traditional auditor or an accountant has been trained to basically we're accountants, so this is not to insult that industry, but basically they're to line up debits and credits. And even in traditional audit papers, either whether or not it's a personal audit or a business audit, it actually says this audit is not intended to detect fraud. So we are there to ask those questions. If you have a business between you and your ex-spouse and you've been paying ABC Marketing Company for the last 15 years, $5,000 a month in fees for whatever service they're offering. A traditional auditor will just make sure that there are, their invoices for each of these different transactions. Will ask what those are for, and if it has a good explanation, they won't dig into it any further. Where we will come in and ask who owns that company. And if we dug into it and saw that that individual has been transferring money to themselves, because they owned ABC Marketing Corporation and there has been no service offered, then that's certain tactics that spouses use or business owners use to hide cash. So we can start asking those questions, lining things up, and figuring out whether or not we think there are different accounts that the client is not aware of.
All right, great. Yeah, that's awesome, because that's, like you said, it goes deeper than the traditional accountant would to really make sure that you're getting the full picture. So one question I did have, I know, like I said, it can be pretty common to have that nagging suspicion, but obviously what you guys do is time consuming and not free. So is there kind of a, if somebody's concerned that their ex is hiding $500, not worth hiring people to hunt it down. They'd only be entitled to probably $250, and it's just not worth it. Is there some sort of a point at which, you think it's usually, that you might advise that it's usually worth hiring somebody like you, or any guidance on that, I guess?
Yeah, so there's no magic number, I would say, as far as what that amount of fraud is that would trigger the need for a forensic accountant. However, if somebody comes to us and they say that, to their knowledge, they've seen, reason to believe that they have $30,000, $40,000 that have been transferred out of one of their investment accounts and they have no clue where that money went. If that's the case, then there's probably more there. If they were able to see that on a first glance, then there's probably something else there that we should look into. However, if they have a suspicion of $30,000 to $40,000 in fraud, period, total, because that's all, all the money that they, had access to, then, we would look at everything initially. We'd still do that initial consult, and we would kind of estimate our amount of time that it would take to review the financial data. And if we think we can do it for, $2,500 or $5,000, we can let them know that, if you spend $5,000 for an expert opinion that you can use in mediation or in court, then it might be worth your money to chase that $30,000. But if you have no clue where it is and you have 20 different accounts that we'd have to dig through, it might not be worth it. And we would definitely give that full understanding of whether or not we think that we'd be a good fit.
Okay, great. And so that's the conversation you have with them is
right.
Worth it? Is it not worth it? So
right.
Awesome. Yeah, because I know that's always one of the concerns is you want the information, but things cost money. So
right.
That's great. Is there anything else you wanted to add about what you guys do or how you can help family law clients?
You know what, I touched on this earlier, but I would say this, that we have a even if there's not $30,000, $40,000 in alleged fraud, we love to help family law clients, people going through divorce, and to the extent of running those reports that I was talking about earlier and giving them a good financial picture just so they can have good self-assurance that there isn't, an abundance of homes or cars out there that they're not aware of, or business affiliations that their spouse maybe had. We can run those reports. I'll tell you right now, the reports are $500, and we love doing those for our clients on a frequent basis, and at least, providing a good background that you can use, for discussions with the opposing side as well.
Yeah, no, that can be very helpful in mediation when you're just trying to make sure you have a full picture versus not. And $500 isn't that much for peace of mind, and I guarantee you it's a lot less than you'd have to pay an attorney to try to replicate that work.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of financial statements. We love having the accountants come in and explain to us what's going on because they have their expertise and we have ours. So, all right, thank you so much, Cory, for joining us this month and for your information. And if any there would like to contact Intellix Forensics and get more information about it, depending on where you're watching this, the contact information is either below us or to the sides. So just go ahead and click on that, and Cory would love to talk to you and figure out how they can help you.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks again. All right.